Welcome to the latest edition of Altrincham Talks, the business edit, the Altrincham Bid podcast. Today we're joined by Jen Jameson from Jameson and Partners of the Downs in Altrincham. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's a delight for us. I am absolutely sure. So we're going to talk a little bit about Jameson and Partners and how you got started in business, about what's happening with Jameson and Partners now, what's happening in the general property market. Let's start with how you got into business as an estate agent.
Okay. So my background was in architecture and design to begin with. And when I moved to Manchester, I migrated into property while I was renovating my own home at the time.
Where are you from originally?
I grew up in London largely.
Did you?
But
we won't hold that against you.
I lived in a lot of different places.
Right.
But I've lived here now for 15 years.
Right.
So this is my home now.
Right. So you were doing architecture at uni?
Yeah, UCL I went to.
Right.
And
you came into practice in Manchester?
In London originally.
Right.
And I moved up to Manchester looking to buy a property because London property prices were very high at the time and basically unaffordable to get a suitable home down there. And when I moved here, I found a project I wanted to renovate.
Right.
So I wanted another job that was just an easy 9 to 5, which is how I fell into agency. And I never intended to stay in agency.
And if you asked any other estate agents, would they say it's an easy 9 to 5 job?
Probably not anymore.
Probably. So you started working for another estate agent?
In Manchester, yeah. And
Right.
I worked for, I think, 3 different companies in Manchester. And then I realised that there were improvements that I wanted to make. And I wasn't in a position to do that working for somebody else.
Yeah.
And I was approaching 30. And it was kind of that pivotal time in my life where I was like, if I want to run my own business and do it the way I want to do it, then it's now or never.
Wow. It's a big step from working for somebody else to working for yourself.
It was quite scary, but I think at 30 I was quite naive and probably didn't realise the full
what the hell?
commitment.
Just go and do it.
I can do it. I didn't have children. I didn't have any other sort of commitments.
Yeah.
So I felt like if I'm going to give this a shot, now's the time.
So how did it come to fruition then? Once you'd made the decision to go into business ownership, how did you get started?
So I drove around quite a few different town centres. I was still working for another company at the time, so on my days off I was just travelling around working out where the right location was. And to be honest, I came into Altrincham Town Centre and the bid had the office, or the Altrincham Forward at the time had their office, and I went in to take some advice on preparing a business plan and how I would raise funding, and they were really supportive and helpful. And I could see the same ingredients in this location as the area in London that I grew up in.
Yeah.
Good schools, good transport links, nice green spaces. And I thought, actually, this is an area that's quite clearly going to improve rapidly in terms of property prices and demand. So what better place to set up?
Did you start with a retail premises or did you start from home? So how did you get started?
Day one we started in an office on the Downs.
Right, wow.
Yeah.
So
I did think about
years
keeping
ago.
the overheads down and working from home, but I don't think without that presence you build that trust with your clients.
Right.
So I just decided we had to just go all in.
What was it like on day one? I assume you had some work to do on the premises itself to get it ready to open.
Yes.
What was day one like for you?
So we to be honest, we turned it around pretty quickly because once I was paying rent, we needed to be making money.
Yeah.
So we had a team of builders go in and refurbish the shop. We got match funding from the Town Centre Council.
Great.
So we contributed 10,000, they put in 10,000 just to get the shop rewired and plastered and made it tidy for our business. And we set up shop within about 6 weeks. And we had no clients.
Right.
So we started from zero.
How long did it take to get the first client through the door?
To be honest, within the first week.
Right.
Somebody walked in and they liked us, we answered their questions and they were impressed.
Yeah.
And that was our first property.
So just tell me this, and I know I've asked you this question before, so I know what the answer is, but everybody else You know when you walk past normal estate agents, they've got lots of pictures in the windows and like sort of photographs of houses inside. Yeah. How did you deal with that when you didn't have any properties when you first opened on that first day?
So I reached out to a local photographer, Martin Hamilton, who lives on the Downs near my shop, and I said to him, I haven't got any properties, but I have a window display that needs filling. Would you mind taking some nice historical images of the town centre?
Right.
And he went walking around the town and he did a fantastic job.
Brilliant.
And he took little details of Lime Grove and the town hall and the market, and then we populated our window with those images to begin with.
And they work because somebody walked in?
Yeah. Yeah, and it looked nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So yeah, and once you've got your first client, it starts the ball rolling.
Yeah.
I think it's just building up a bit of a trust amongst other clients. I think is the struggle, isn't it?
And did you start off deliberately meaning just to do sales, purchases and sales, or did you immediately think about lettings?
We knew that we needed to diversify and we had to do sales and rentals because I think when the market changes, there's always one segment of the market that's stronger than the other. So you've kind of got to make sure you've got your bottom line of rental income, which is a monthly balance, and then your sale income just tops that up.
Right, okay.
So I knew that we'd have to do both.
Yeah.
My preference is sales, but the rentals has to come alongside that.
And what's the average sort of time it takes to sell a property with you guys?
Same as probably most estate agents. It's solicitors who slow things down a lot of the time. So we're talking 3 or 4 months realistically.
And do you find that quite frustrating, or have you built up good relationships with sort of solicitors around the area that you can...
We've got really good relations with the solicitors, and there are a lot of very diligent solicitors in the area. So no, it's not frustrating. I mean, if you're going to spend... average house price around here is about 500, 600,000. You want to do your due diligence.
Makes your eyes water, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I kind of appreciate that it's going to take 3 or 4 months to make sure you know what you're buying. And
I can imagine it's extremely frustrating for the buyers and the sellers because, once you've bought a house, really you want to be in it. And if you're selling a house, once you've got to buy it, you really want to sell it, don't you? So I've heard a few chunterings from different people over the years who've been buying and selling who just want to be in.
People can be very impatient, and that is my job, is to manage that, the expectation of timescales, and to keep people patient, especially when there's a chain of people connected together. You're waiting for someone else quite often who's totally out of your control and who you don't know. Large part of the job is just keeping channels of communication flowing so people understand what they're waiting for. Yeah.
So how long have you been in business now on the Downs?
It was 10 years last month.
Right, brilliant.
Yeah.
So you're in quite a competitive market. There are a number of estate agents, and quite a lot of them tend to gather sort of in close proximity, don't they? So you've got other estate agents around. What would you say it is that separates Jameson and Partners from the other estate agents in and around Altrincham?
So we try to offer a high quality service, and it is the customer service and the attention to detail that really matters to me. We're not trying to stack the houses high and sell them cheaply. It's really about each individual client and their needs, and making sure that we give a holistic approach of finding the right home for them as well as getting the right buyer for their home. Because we're a very small company, we can pivot quite quickly in a changing market, and I think that really helps. And I think obviously as technology is coming along, there are a lot of new ways to promote properties, and we can adapt to that quite quickly compared to the larger organisations where it just takes a bit longer to change the way they run.
And how is the market at the moment in terms of sales or rentals? What's going on in the current market? Have you got any hot tips?
The rental prices, I imagine, will be going up quite steeply because of the landlord laws changing, which is good for landlords, maybe not so good for if you're a tenant. But from that point of view, first-time buyers trying to eagerly get onto the property ladder and own their own home, there's a lot more of them than there used to be. In terms of the higher value sales, people are very cautious because cost of living has been high for a while. People are being taxed more than they used to be. So we're still selling big family homes, but maybe not as rapidly as they were going a year or two ago. But that will improve. I think the interest rates have come down before Christmas, and hopefully they'll come down again this year. So that gives people sort of more positivity to move into this year.
Yeah, I mean, the changes to the landlord rules and regulations, it seems to be quite a lot of layers in that, and quite complicated if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So
you have to be careful.
If there's landlords out there who need some help and advice,
please come to me. I will definitely help you. And I think it is very sensible to take advice when the law's changing, just to make sure you're fully compliant and that you're covered in terms of if you had to remove your tenant, you know that you've got all the correct documentation in place to do so. And it's sort of leaning towards the tenants rather than the landlords, isn't it? I think the new rules a little bit. The government are trying to support tenants in having a more secure home, which I understand. But from a landlord's point of view, it is their property. And they like to know that they have the ability to regain ownership of their property should they need it.
I suppose the challenge, the diverse side of that is, unfortunately, it means that the chances are rental prices are going to go up as a result of that. There's going to be fewer landlords in the market, And in order to fulfil their obligations to tenants, they're probably going to have to charge more in the first place.
Correct. And in all honesty, a lot of landlords won't be making significantly more money from that. It will just be covering increasing costs.
Yeah.
And having the backup that if they needed the additional money for legal costs, etc., they've got that pot of money available to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, from a tenant's point of view, the rents most likely will increase because there will be fewer landlords, fewer properties available for them.
So what does the future hold for Jameson and Partners then? I know there's some exciting things on the horizon.
Yes, we have a new office that hopefully we'll be moving into next month.
Brilliant. Far away from your existing office?
We're moving next door.
Next door. Oh, that'll be... That's going to take some organising.
It's an easy move, yeah. But we will own that shop, so that's a permanent base then.
Right, so the one that you're in at the moment is
we rent the current
lease.
shop,
right,
yeah. So it will give us a bit more stability, and we've been spending the last couple of years refurbishing our new shop to a high standard, so it will be more
comfortable. Couple of years? Wow, that's going to be...
My dad has been involved.
Right, okay. Well, we'll stop there. Sorry, Dad.
He's been doing a very painstakingly careful job of the refurbishment.
So, dare I ask, have you got a date for the move?
Mid-March.
Mid-March?
Hopefully, yeah.
Brilliant.
That's the plan.
Have you told your dad?
Yeah, he knows. Oh, yeah, I've told him a lot of times. Fingers crossed.
And you've just got the one premises at the moment, so you're looking to expand and grow further?
I think in the future we most likely will, but I'm not in any rush to expand the business. I think to maintain the quality, I'm happy to keep it small and keep it local for now. And I have a young family, so I have a lot of other things going on.
I was going to say, over the last 10 years, you've had quite a lot of changes in your personal life as well.
Yeah, which was part of the reason I set the business up as well, because I wanted to have the flexibility to have a family, and I know that as a woman trying to find part-time work and flexible hours is quite difficult. So I knew that working for myself, I should better buy myself that flexibility. Since I started the business, I now have 3 children.
Wow.
So I have a 4-year-old who's just started school and twins who are nearly 18 months old now.
That's quite inspirational.
So it keeps me busy,
Being able to run a full-time business and have 3 children.
I think it's...
And a lot of people, I don't have children, but I can imagine some people would consider having 3 children a full-time job in itself, let alone holding down another full-time job as a business owner.
To be honest, women who stay at home and look after their kids have got a harder job than I have going to work, to running my business.
You get to hand them off to somebody else until you come home from work.
Absolutely, yeah. Running the company is easier than looking after the kids,
Wow.
But you have to find a balance between family life and running the company.
Yeah.
But working for yourself does offer you that bit more flexibility.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about being a business owner, because being a business owner requires a completely different set of skills to being an estate agent.
Correct.
So what would you say are the biggest challenges or the biggest learnings that you've had over the last 10 years or so from moving from working for somebody else and having a job to starting your own business and owning a business rather than having a job? Because you've still got a job as a business owner, but it's a different set of skills.
It certainly is, yeah. I think what people potentially don't appreciate when you work for someone else is the amount of administration, organisation and stress that comes with running your own business. I think there's a lot more hours you have to put in just to making sure you're compliant, making sure your cash flow is running properly, your staff are happy. There's a lot of elements to running a business that aren't immediately obvious when you work for another company who employ you.
Yeah, what would you say is the biggest area that you've had to work on in terms of getting to grips with the business? Because there's so many different areas to think about.
The honest truth is I think staffing is the biggest challenge for most small businesses. Finding and retaining the right staff, training them and instilling the sort of business principles, trying to get them to understand what we're working towards and work as a team. That's the hardest thing, I think. But we're really lucky that we now have an amazing team.
So when you say understanding what you're trying to work towards, is that around your goals and more around your culture and values as a company?
I think it's more to do with the culture and the values of the company, because I think it's very easy to employ experienced staff from elsewhere and think that you've kind of saved yourself a job in training a younger member of staff. But what I've realised is actually I prefer to hire somebody who's less experienced and more able to take on board the way that we work, because otherwise they come in with bad habits and ways of doing things that aren't necessarily the way that I want my business to be run.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we often talk about to our clients, because they'll put an advert out and they'll say, well, we want somebody with 5 years of experience or 10 years of experience. And I would always say to them, what would you rather have? Would you rather have somebody with 1 or 2 years of experience with a go the extra mile, go above and beyond the call of duty attitude? Or would you rather get somebody with 10 years experience and a bit of a negative attitude? And every time they say, well, we'll go for the 1 or 2 years experience and with the go the extra mile attitude, because culture and attitude is like the foundation for every business. And you're right, recruitment is challenging. It's an employee's marketplace at the moment. So you've got to not only do you need to make your business stand out for your potential clients, but you need to make your business stand out for your potential employees as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you do anything over and above sort of just standard sort of practice for your employees? Do you have like employee benefits and those kind of things for them as well?
I try. So most of my employees are women, and I try to be flexible as well around childcare and their needs outside of work, because everybody has other things going on.
Yeah.
So we try not to be regimented about the working hours. If they're flexible and they can give us an extra hour of a weekend or of an evening, but they need time back to go to an appointment or something, we try and offer them as much flexibility as possible.
And that works both ways, doesn't it?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think if you allow your staff that and you have respect for your staff and your team, then the same comes your way.
Yeah. How much did you understand about finance before you started, about things like profit and loss and balance sheets and cash flow and that kind of stuff?
Absolutely nothing.
How have you gone about learning about that? Has that been the school of hard knocks, or have you got some learning around that?
So again, my original meeting with the Altrincham Forward was the first time I'd really put together a proper cash flow business strategy, and they were really helpful because they looked at what I'd drawn up and were, pretty much, are you sure about this? But I think, obviously, my dad used to run his own company, so he's also been very helpful in guiding me into what technology I can use and how best to manage money.
In between doing the shop.
In between doing the shop. So I have had some guidance, and a good accountant, obviously. But if I'm honest, a lot of it you learn on the job. Yeah. So it is challenging.
Brilliant. And are you going to be having an opening day? Are you going to have a special cut the ribbon opening for the new shop?
I wasn't planning to be honest with you.
Go to cakes and champagne.
No, I don't tend to put on a show like that. We just crack on with business.
Keep under the radar and crack on. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bid, obviously, Altrincham bid, and how important they were to you in the early days. Do you still get involved now with the events and the different things that are going on around town?
Yeah, I do. And the bid have been fantastic. I think it's really helpful to have an organisation that ties the whole town and all the businesses in it together, which I think a lot of towns that don't have a bid haven't got that interconnection between the other companies, and we all benefit and work with each other. And I think the new app that obviously the bid are bringing out is really helpful, because that will hopefully then encourage businesses to buy from one another within the town, keep the money circulating locally, which I think is really important, because I think British High Street it's not looking too healthy, the overall picture. And I think trying to encourage people and footfall into the towns rather than allowing people just to sort of stay at home and shop online is really important, more now than ever.
I should imagine from an estate agency viewpoint, obviously, number one, you want to attract more people into the local area, because that creates buoyancy in the housing market and the rental market. You want to be able to attract high quality employees into your business as well, and having a great environment for them to work in and to go out into during the day and in the evenings is also really important to attracting the right people. So
correct.
Whether you're a retail business or a professional services business, whatever kind of business you are, I think the bid and the goals of the bid are as important to everybody, aren't they?
They are, absolutely. And I think there are some service sector businesses that don't necessarily see the benefit of the footfall, because it appears that that's more beneficial to retail businesses. Yeah. But I think as a service sector business, it is just as beneficial, because as you say, you want the right sort of people coming into the town, living in the town. It pushes up the house prices. It encourages more footfall generally. So I think it's beneficial to everybody who's in the town. Yeah.
Okay. 2 or 3 quick fire questions to finish with.
Okay.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, maybe to when you were all still working for somebody else before you went into business for yourself, what would be the most important piece of advice that you think you could give to yourself or to a young person who's out there today?
The honest truth is I wouldn't want to look back on this and go back there, because I probably wouldn't have set myself up in business had I known how hard it was going to be.
Wow.
I think you've got to go into it with a small element of naivety to take the leap of faith and just go for it. But if I was to give myself advice, it would probably be that you're going to need more money. More money than you expect to need.
More working capital.
More working capital, yeah. And that, I think, was one thing that I was struggling with and had to take out several loans to get the business off the ground.
Yeah. Maybe tell them to get a good business coach as well.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Do you know any good business coaches? Anyway, moving on. There's a lot of business owners out there and a lot of people thinking about going into business. What would be the best piece of advice you'd give to a maybe not necessarily a younger person, but somebody who's in business or about to go into business now? What would be the best piece of advice for them, do you think?
I think it's more about focusing on the quality of the service these days. And I think having the right team behind you and making sure your team are delivering on your goals is the most important factor, and not stepping away from your business. And I know in the early days you're going to be there 24/7, but I think if you just walk away and you just assume it's going to run by itself, that's not always the best approach as far as I've seen it with other businesses. You've got to be very hands-on and involved. That would be the main piece of advice, is staying in touch with every element of the business.
Customer experience is so important.
Correct, yeah. And I think that's the be-all and end-all. If people are not raving about you, then your business isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. How do people find you?
We have a high street shop and we have a website, but
so
you can just pick
17,
up the telephone.
17 The Downs?
We do, yeah, that's correct.
Soon to be 19
The Downs,
The Downs in Altrincham.
Yeah.
And you've got a website?
We do indeed.
So if you just Google Jameson and Partners,
you'll find us.
Altrincham, they'll find you.
Yeah. Just give me a call or drop me an email. All contact details are on the website. Yeah.
Fantastic. Jen, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. I've enjoyed it.